Hi everyone, welcome to the AFTV full-time shows. Myself and Frank here. Both of us, got to be saying, slightly disappointed. Well, not slightly, disappointed. I'm looking at Frank here. He's got a look of dejection over his face. I'm trying hard to be positive, but I would say it's definitely 2 points lost. Feels like deja vu, to be honest with you. 2 weeks on the trot now, gone away from home. Both times gone 2-0 up, looking good. And for whatever reason, we've imploded. Against Liverpool, it's slightly more acceptable because Liverpool, we all know what they're like, especially at home. Very good team. And so that, to me, there was no real shame in getting clawed back to 2-2. Today, though, feels a little bit different. I think we should have won the game. With respect to West Ham, they are no Liverpool. They're 14th in the table for a reason, and we should have beaten them. We didn't. Frankie, what's your immediate thoughts?
I've got a GIF from Twitter on constant loop. It's of the incident that should have been the penalty for Arsenal.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
The standard of officiating in this country is awful. I will go out on a limb and say this country has the worst standard of officiating in world football.
Wow.
I am looking at the replay of the lead up to what should have been our first penalty. I don't want to talk about the second one. And it's a blatant handball from Declan Rice. You can't see none of this rubbish about natural position. His arm is out here. It hits him here. That doesn't look like a sleeve to me. I don't get it. But obviously, that's not the only reason we didn't win the game. We weren't good enough today. I think for only about 25 minutes of the first half, we actually looked like Arsenal, and we was 2-0 up at that time. And it's just, like you said, deja vu.
I've got to ask you the question. I mean, we're all asking it amongst ourselves, but I'm going to ask you publicly. Tell the people, why do you think this is happening 2 weeks on the trot? Is the pressure starting to reach us?
I think, unfortunately, the pressure is starting to reach. It's a very young team. They've not a majority of them have never been in this situation where they're fighting for a championship and fighting for a title. You only really look at Jesus and Zinchenko, and you suppose you can put Odegaard in there with Real Madrid that have this title challenging experience. The rest of the team's very young. The rest of the team's very inexperienced. And it looks like the pressure's starting to get to them through no fault of their own. It's not their fault that they're so young, But it's getting to the point where it's becoming a little bit soul destroying now, because I can understand the Liverpool one, but today's result for me is unacceptable. We were poor on the pitch. I don't agree with the substitutions that Mikel made, and that's become a pattern over the last two games. I think he made the substitutions in the Liverpool game way too late. I think he made the complete wrong substitutions today.
Tell me about it. What were the wrong substitutions?
Well, the obvious one for me was the Gabriel Jesus one. You've got Saka that's really been struggling over the last few games, and he's missed the penalty. It's the obvious choice to bring someone off, to bring Bukayo Saka off. I don't want to slate Bukayo Saka because he's been amazing for us over the past 3 or 4 years, but he's in a rough patch of form. I would have just taken him off the pitch and got on a fresh Leandro Trossard. Why on earth he brought Gabriel Jesus off was it was beyond me, because Gabriel Jesus looked like our main goal for it today. He got the goal.
I would agree with you on that, actually. Yeah, I would agree. I must admit, I was also slightly, more than slightly, surprised to see Saka, Jesus come off. He looked surprised as well. He didn't look too happy about it, I've got to say. And then I've also got to say, when Trossard did come on, as much as I love Trossard and got the utmost respect for him, he didn't really make much of an impact, did he? Let's be honest.
No, he really didn't. And
so that was a substitution that didn't work. The other substitution, Jorginho came on for Partey. What do you think? How do you think he fared?
No, yeah, I don't think there's much that Jorginho could have done in this situation. I think he came on only with about 20 odd minutes to go or something like that.
Still time to make an impact.
Yeah, no, it is still time to make an impact, but you're not going to get an electrifying impact from a player like Jorginho. He's a fairly slow player. I get you can string passes together and things like that, but you're not going to get an impact. So you're not going to get an impact substitution from Jorginho, especially taking Thomas Partey off. I also didn't agree with not generally with bringing Fabio Vieira on, because Fabio Vieira is a great player, but you had a fairly fresh Eddie Nketiah sat there, and Eddie Nketiah only got 5 minutes.
If that.
What's he going to do?
Yeah.
I wanted to say what's he going to do in 5 minutes, but that takes me back to the Norwich game where he scored in 15 seconds, so I'm not even really going to say that. But
I think, to be fair to Arteta, though, Reece Nelson, who came on, did look quite lively in the short space of time he was on.
He did look lively, but for me, I think the substitution's made a little bit too late. I think that substitute didn't get made in the 75th minute. What's he going to do in 15 minutes realistically?
Yeah,
It's way too late, and it's something that needs to change, especially going into that game against City. We need to be making substitutions the second we see the issue, not delaying things, not making the wrong substitutions. We need to be on point for the entirety and the remainder of the season. Otherwise, we're not going to win this trophy.
I've got to ask you, 2 points dropped. Do you think that after today, that seriously diminished our chances of winning the title? Would you say that City are now favourites?
No, I wouldn't.
As some people are
I
saying?
wouldn't say City are favourites, because you can't go against math. Mathematically,
Good
we're
answer.
still. You can't argue with math. We're still mathematically top of the table, even if City win their next game. But ultimately, it will now come down to that game at the Etihad. We cannot. If we would have won today, we had a little bit of room, but we cannot afford to get anything other than a win in these next 7 games. Southampton has to be a win. Man City has to be a win, which sounds crazy. It has to be a win.
Is it though?
I think it does, because now that the gap could potentially only go down to 1 point, that's when the pressure will really start getting onto us. And people are going on about Man City being big shark after Arsenal, and if we don't win at the Etihad, then we're down to 1 point, and from there it becomes a serious issue.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I mean, a lot of people were talking about squeaky bum time with 8-9 games to go, and I kept saying to you, no, it's not squeaky bum time. Squeaky bum time is when there's a couple of games left and there's a point either way.
Yeah.
So there's still some way to go. Listen, before this game, I had said to people, anyone who asked me, I said to them, listen, I think it's highly likely that both us and City will drop points before the end of the season, because realistically it's kind of difficult to expect a team to win all 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, but
even City, I don't think it's going to happen.
But I can see City dropping points, but that's not a loss. That's you're going to get a draw somewhere.
But we didn't lose.
We didn't. But this is the problem. It feels like a loss. It feels massively like a loss, considering the position we was in less than 2 weeks ago before Liverpool to the position we're in now. There's a huge drop off. There's a massive drop off. Don't get me wrong. I'm still happy with the point at Anfield. Not exactly the circumstances in which it happened, but today was awful. But there's nothing more that can be said. I know there was a bit of a debate about did Arsenal bottle it at Anfield. We didn't bottle it at Anfield.
No,
we certainly bottled it today. We massively bottled it today.
You'd put it that strongly?
I would put it that strongly.
Okay.
And I don't like to be negative.
Why would you use bottle? To me is a bit strong.
I
mean, let me qualify what I'm saying when I say that. I mean, I do kind of understand where you're coming from, and I can feel the disappointment pouring out of your young pores there. You know what I mean? But what I would say is this: I'd said before this game, you heard me, Frank, when we was doing the starting 11 show. I cautioned against people being overly optimistic, based on my previous experience of football, knowing that West Ham, I've been to that stadium when it's rocking, and I know that when it's rocking, it can be a bit of a cauldron. It can get the players up for it. This was a London derby. West Ham are at home. They need the points as badly as we need the points. They're in a relegation fight. I knew this would be a tough game. I knew that on their day, they are capable of good results. They do have some very good players in their team, and I just knew that this was going to be a difficult game. If we'd have been at home today, I would have been a lot more confident. The fact that West Ham were at home, I just kind of expected it to be tough, and so it proved.
Well, it was always going to be tough. I can agree with you that much, but we're top of the league. They're in 14th place. We're a much better Premier League. We're a much better team than West Ham are. We needed to win this game, and we haven't. So I generally don't agree with using the word bottling, but when you're 13 places higher than a team in the Premier League and you're 2-0 up, there is no reason that you should lose that lead. And it's happened, and it's not good enough for me, unfortunately.
No, I hear you, and as I said before, I could feel the palpable disappointment. But let's try and take some positives out of the game. We didn't lose. We didn't lose a game that, you know, let's be honest, a few years ago we might even have lost it. I mean, West Ham had a couple of really good chances towards the end there, and we're still top of the table. And yes, people say City got a game in hand, but they've got to win that game in hand.
Yeah.
The way they're playing right now, you would expect them to win it, but we've all seen before, nothing's given in this league. The integrity of the Premier League is very strong. So, you know, it's not a given that they're going to win the game in hand. We're still 4 points clear. We've got Southampton at home this weekend. A game, again, you would expect us to win. I'll be very, very surprised.
No, I mean, I'm surprised enough about this game. But if we then go and don't get a win against Southampton, we have a major issue. Like
I would agree with you.
Major issue.
Major issue.
And the annoying thing about this is I go back to the point that I made about the referees. We should have 4 points more than we do currently. You go back to the Brentford game. We got an apology from PGMOL because they didn't give us a penalty. We've had the exact same situation today. That penalty gets given, we could win this game 3-2. So if we lose this league, if we don't end up winning the league by a point or two, it's because of the officials. That's
Talking of penalties, do you think that their second was a penalty? Because I must admit, when I saw it live, I didn't think it was. I think that there was a possible handball in the build-up. Declan Rice.
Oh yeah, we've just seen that. That's what I had playing. That is a stone wall penalty. I don't know.
I'm talking about in the penalty that they got. I think Declan Rice might have miscontrolled the ball with his hand.
This one, the penalty shout that our first penalty shout, or what do you mean?
No, in the penalty that West Ham got.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. The penalty that West Ham got. This is the handball leading.
Yeah. So that's it was further compounded by Gabriel. Okay, you could argue that Gabriel went to ground too quickly.
I got confused there. That's my apologies. It's not a penalty.
So
it's not a penalty for this very reason alone. I think maybe, you know, there was a minimal amount of contact from Gabriel, which is enough to get a penalty nowadays. But we shouldn't have even been in that position purely because Declan Rice handles the ball.
Right, so we got a few callers. We've heard what myself and Frankie have had to say. You can feel the disappointment. I wonder what the callers think. I kind of suspect I know what they're going to say, but hey, let's hear what they got to say. Who we got on the line?
Deanie. How's it going, Deanie? I can see already that you're not happy at all.
Yeah, it's just one of those games, isn't it? Like, we started brilliantly, but after 25 minutes, it just swung in the West Ham's favour, and it's lapses in concentration. We gave that game to them in a sense. It got to a point in the second half where it was just like, I wasn't even sure if we was going to get out with the win or even a point. You know what I mean? Because in seasons gone past, we have lost that game, and it was just like that's the first time in the last 10 games or so that I've been really worried that we're going to lose this game. But we held on, stuck in there. But
so Deanie, let me ask you,
go on.
What do you put this? I don't want to use the word bottle it because I don't even think it's that. The fact that twice in 2 weeks now, it feels like deja vu. We've given away 2-goal leads and drawn games that you would have expected us to win. What do you put that down to?
Simple lapses in concentration, just simple moments. Like, even though, like, I'm not blaming Xhaka for the Liverpool swing and this, that, and the other, but it's just a simple thing. Just breathe and walk away, and the tide doesn't turn. With the penalty in terms of West Ham, I don't even think it was a penalty. So they got a blind there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They really got a blind there to get back in the game. And even with the second goal, just lapse in concentration. I saw what was coming before it even happened. I literally saw it and I was like, oh crap, and it just happened. So it's just like,
do you think they're feeling the pressure?
I think naturally, yes. I think naturally, as confident as you can be in any situation. Like, for example, like if you're been rehearsing for like 6 weeks to do a performance and you know everything you're going to do, you're still nervous before you even go out on stage, regardless of how many times you've been doing it. So I do get that there might be a little bit of nervousness, but it's like, you want to be in these moments. Like, you train to be in these moments and you want to be in these moments. So you just have to take that moment in your mind to just think, what am I doing right now? Is it safe to pass here? Is it safe to pass here? Drop back here, push forward, or just hold out the game? Do you know what I mean? So,
what do you make of Frank?
But yeah.
What do you make of what Frankie was saying? Frankie was quite critical of the manager, insofar as he didn't think the substitutions were very good. What's your thoughts on that?
When I think who came on first? Was it Jorginho and Vieira that came on first?
Yeah, no. So it was Jesus and who else was it?
They
Jesus and Partey came off
and
first. For Partey, for Trossard and Jorginho. Yeah.
See, with Jesus, I did think it was a bit early, but even in the back of my mind, just very simply because of how knee injuries have been, and he does look brilliantly sharp. He does look, and he looks amazing. But because of knee injuries, I'll give Arteta that line, because even a little niggle in the knee could set him back again. But he's still been doing what he's doing, and even with Saliba being injured now, I feel like he's just trying to make sure everything's okay, because we don't want the wheels to really fall apart. Do you know what I mean? So, do
you think Saka should have come off?
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Do you think Saka should have come off? A lot of people thinking that he got the substitution wrong. Saka should have been the man to have come off and been replaced by Trossard. I mean, I know everything. Hindsight is 2020. I know that, but
it honestly depends, because if Saka scores the penalty, we go 3-1 up, and then potentially the tide swings back in our favour. It's just. It's a tough day at the office, but what I would definitely say is that all week I've just simply been hearing that it's City's titles to lose. It's City's titles to lose. I'm sorry, if the role was reversed and City was 6 points in front right now, it would be City's titles to lose, or City would run away with it. So why is it because we're on top? I understand that City have been the mentality monsters and this, that, and the other, but right now, as Frank said, mathematically it is in our hands. Mathematically, we need to go to the Etihad, and mathematically, City have to beat us as well as we need to beat them. They have to beat us, and there's no guarantee that it's going to happen. So,
but you know what? I'm gonna say this, bro. I don't want to even talk about City right now, bro. I want to.
Because it's Southampton.
Yeah, exactly, because Southampton, there's still a mathematical chance that they could stay up. They're gonna look at Arsenal at the moment and think, you know what, they're not on their best form. A little bit shaky. Yeah, so let's go there, defend the hell out of it, and see what we can get. So to me, I don't even want to focus too much on the City game. I know it's natural for people to look ahead to that game. Maybe that's where we're going wrong. We need to think about what we're going to do against Southampton, which could be a difficult game again. Frankie, have you got any questions for Dean?
What have you made of Saka's recent form, Dini? Obviously, it's over the last 2 or 3 games that he's not been completely on the ball. I don't want to be too negative with him, but what have you made of that, and how do you think we go about proceeding with that situation?
I think with Saka, it's one of those points in the season. He's just a bit off. He's just a little bit off, but it's not terrible. I feel like the whole team can look at themselves in the last 2 games actually and feel like, you know what, we need to reset and we need to go again against Southampton. As poor as bad as the last 2 games have been, we're still in a good place, and every time we have a setback we do bounce back, and we have to bounce back now. We literally have to, and no better job than to do it against the bottom team in the league. I know, like, you have to be respectful as always, but there's no better way to get back on track and literally having Southampton to face in the next game at home. You know what I mean? So, oh boy, we're getting close to squeaky bum time, but we're not there yet. We ain't there yet. You know what I mean? We ain't there yet.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Squeaky bum time is when there's a couple of games to go and there's a point either side or whatever.
Can I just say one more thing before I go?
Of course.
And I know you literally just said not looking ahead to see it, but I will say this one thing. In 2018, City were, I think they had to face Man United at the Etihad, and if they won that game, they would have won the league at the Etihad, beaten Man United, and everything else, and this, that, and the other. Now, I think even City was still 2-0 up in that game. And at the same time, it was expected that City would win that game. And for City fans, that would have been one of the best moments in their history, having their biggest rivals at City and beating and winning the title there. City did not do it. They did go on to win the title, but it's not a guarantee that City will beat us at the Etihad. And I just want Arsenal fans to understand that. It's in our hands. It's in our hands.
Well said, Dini.
Okay, Dini, listen, bro, thank you very much for your call. Excellent call as always. And you must call back again after we beat Southampton.
Most definitely, Southampton first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, take care, bro. Respect. Nice one. Right, so You've heard what Dini had to say there, Frank. What do you make of what he said?
I think we've got another caller first.
Okay,
Yeah,
we've got another caller.
Who's next? Matt. How's it going, Matt?
How you doing, mate? You right?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thoughts on the game? I'll just put it bluntly. Thoughts on the game?
Well, it's a repeat of last week, to be fair. We hit the ground running quite quickly. First 40 minutes, and then obviously West Ham got into the game. Got the goal back, and then that was it at half time. I kind of knew it would be a repeat of last week, to be fair.
Oh, you did? You saw that coming?
I did.
Wow,
I see it coming.
Right. Oh, listen, I mean, goals change games. We all know that. I mean, you can be 2-0. That's why they use that phrase, which I often think is a bit of a misnomer, but people say 2-0 is the worst scoreline to have in football because...
Especially early as well.
Yeah. But I can kind of see now why people are saying that because the way it works is once the team that are 2-0 down, they get a goal back, then they start believing. And then they get the second one. And I'll tell you what, mate, I don't know about you, but in the last couple of minutes, I was thinking, you know what, let's take the draw.
You know what? You know what you thought about Nelson against Villa? That's what
Yeah.
Can that be a thing then? Can that be a thing? Or the Jorginho, you know what I mean? It's a similar thing, but it just weren't our day, really, you know what I mean?
It weren't our day. Listen, Frankie put it to me earlier. He said he was a little bit disappointed with the manager, with the substitutions. What's your thoughts on that?
To be fair, I kind of agreed with it at the same time because I thought, you know what, we need a bit of Jorginho today. I thought just to come on and kind of, just to slow the game down a little bit. I know we still needed to obviously get another goal, and I feel that he was the best player to come on at that time. I agree with you guys about Saka as well. I think obviously last 3 weeks I say his form's kind of dipped. I feel that we don't really have anyone to really replace him in that sense, in that position. I feel like Martinelli today as well didn't really get much on the ball, especially in the second half. So I feel that's why, Arteta done those changes. Another one as well, Partey, I think today was very poor. I know you guys might not agree, but I think he was very poor.
Well, there's a reason he came off, but that's to be honest, that's not the real issue that I had with the substitutions. The issue that I had with the substitutions, you're looking at Gabriel Jesus coming off before Bukayo Saka did. I think that should have been the obvious substitution for me.
Yeah.
You look at Fabio Vieira coming on before a striker when we need a goal. So that was I didn't necessarily have an issue with the Jorginho substitution because, like you said, Partey wasn't having the best of games. That was probably the right substitution to make. But you look at the Gabriel Jesus coming off. You look at Bukayo Saka not coming off. You look at Vieira coming on before Eddie Nketiah. And then Eddie Nketiah only gets about 5-6 minutes. I didn't understand.
Yeah, it's not enough. He does that quite a lot, to be fair. We've seen it, obviously, a lot of games where substitutions come on late. It's just like the other week when Tierney came on for Zinchenko. It's the same thing, where we really needed Tierney. And that was it. That was obviously Zinchenko gave the game away, to be fair. You know what I mean? You can't say he didn't. No, he did. He slipped up. That was it. And today, Tierney was good, man. Honestly, Tierney, I can give him a 10 out of 10 today, honestly.
I did think that Jared Bowen did cause him some problems, though, I must admit.
He did.
Yeah,
it's like when he had he was 1-against-1 with Tierney. Tierney slid in, blocked the shot, and goal. Ramsdale maybe he might have saved it, he might have not. You never know, but Tierney done really well. I think even this filling in for Zinchenko I think he done really well, and I can't fault him for that.
What do you think of the two performances back to back? Do you think that the pressure is now starting to tell a little bit?
It is definitely is. You can tell that we're definitely a young team. I'm not saying we're inexperienced. We're not. We are very experienced, but you can tell that this young team the pressure is starting to mount. And I think that just knowing that City's closed the gap a little bit more as well, even from last week and even now, dropping points now on their heads now, there'll be a lot of pressure going into that Southampton game, which I think we'll cruise it. To be fair, I think we will win. It shouldn't be a hard game. Obviously, Southampton are chasing. Battle of relegation, and we're also chasing the title. So we're both going to be battling out and see obviously who come out on top. So which I think will be us. But
it's kind of almost like we need this Southampton game, innit? Really, no disrespect.
Yeah,
to
we
them,
need it. No disrespect. We do need it.
We need a home game against a team that, let's be honest, we would be expected to win and win comfortably. We kind of need that because I feel like the confidence could be starting to be affected a little bit. And the reason why I say that is that in that second half, I did start to feel at times that we weren't going to win, and I've not felt like that for a few weeks. But
exactly that.
Yeah. But listen, bro, thank you very much for your call. You must call back again. Hopefully, you'll call back after we smoke Southampton. Yeah. So, but yeah, bro.
Emotions will be different than today.
Yeah. I certainly hope
Everyone's
so.
just in one of them moods right now, thinking, well, we could do with the 3 points. You know, we dropped 2 points. You know, what can we do, man? It's just football, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Next game we'll
exactly.
win.
Yeah, it's all about the next game.
That's it. Let's keep going and see what we end up in the last game of the season. You get me? So.
Okay,
Nice
man. Thanks for your call.
Thank you very much. Take care. Okay, who we got next? Austin. How's it going, Austin?
Obviously, very disappointed.
Right, Austin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, because we was having a little bit of interference. Where are you calling from, if you don't mind me asking?
Australia.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, whereabouts in Australia?
Adelaide.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Austin, I want to ask the question before anything, because we've not asked the question to the previous two callers. The penalty that gets... Sorry, I don't know if I got this right again. The penalty that gets given to West Ham. Is it a penalty? And the reason why you may or may not think it's a penalty?
It's a really tough
Call, because
the foul that Gabriel made.
it was definitely a penalty, but the lead up to it, it's a bit questionable, because it did hit his hand. It did hit Declan Rice's hand.
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't think it was a penalty because of that
It's a
same...
50 for me.
Yeah.
So I don't really think so.
The foul itself, it should be a penalty. So yes, West Ham did get a penalty.
Fair enough. But listen, you know, this is a very young team, very inexperienced team. Do you think it's a case of, you know, we're getting towards crunch time at the end of the season? City are on our backs now. You know, 2 weeks ago we were 8 points clear. Now we're down to 4 points. It could potentially be a little bit less, but I'm not going to go that far yet. Do you think this Arsenal team is starting to feel the pressure a little bit?
I do think they're starting to feel
The pressure, there's no doubt about it, because
it's not only this game.
right, this is the same scenario last week where we were up 2-0, but then we slipped. And I think it's the pressure is catching up to the players because they're young, they're inexperienced, but
Yeah, I do believe that.
pressure is catching up to them.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I was saying to the previous caller that I think that the Southampton game coming this Friday has kind of come at a good time for Arsenal. And that's me trying not to be disrespectful to Southampton. But let's be honest, it's a home game. You're playing against a team that are bottom of the table, who look like they might be going down. So to me, that's the ideal opportunity for Arsenal to get a win and to get things back on track. Do you agree with that?
Well,
Arsenal
it
definitely,
needs to get a win next week.
but am I confident?
Probably
Slightly leaning.
leaning towards, I'm honestly 50-50 judging by our performances to the end of last week, to be honest.
That's worrying,
Because
you know, because
you
I
get-
think if we don't beat Southampton, I think even I've got to start
is.
thinking that it's over, you know what I mean? But listen, bro, we got a few other callers on the line, so we're going to have to cut you short a little bit. But we do appreciate you calling from Australia, Adelaide. Thank you very much, bro. Hopefully you'll call back soon. And
Yes.
in the meantime, take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, who's next? We have TDM. TDM, can you hear us? We can't hear him. TDM, can you hear us?
Looks like stricter.
So I think we're having a bit of audio issues here. We can't exactly hear you. Guys, I don't know if you want to sort that out.
Can you hear us, TDM? Because we can't hear you.
Okay, cool. Let's call it.
Can you hear me?
Let's.
Oh, we can hear you now.
He was
We can-
muted. There we go. Yes, we can hear you now.
Better now.
Yes, it's much better now.
Where are you calling from?
Okay. I heard Laurie saying I look a bit like Spectre.
Yeah, you do, man.
Okay. I would say big ups to AFTV. I've been
Right.
following you for so long. My best guys there: Laurie, Robbie, Turkish.
Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
I won't take it personally. Don't worry.
Yeah, but basically, it's Robbie,
Yeah.
Laurie, Turkish, and Lee Judges.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
With
Thank you
our
very
manager.
much, bro. I appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about the game today, then?
I would say I'm a fairly new Arsenal fan,
Okay,
and I started supporting Arsenal seriously like last season.
okay.
So my thoughts on this game today.
Everyone's got to start from somewhere. But, yeah.
Yeah. Before, the biggest problem I see with Arsenal is they did not have defensive minded. They were not defensive minded. But
Right.
since last season, I've seen some kind of defensive attributes in Arsenal. Arsenal has always been a very delightful team. They play really attacking, nice football. But the defensiveness, that's what has been the problem with Arsenal. But since last season, it's been good. Now, my issue with this game today is Tierney came in perfect. He was doing good. My problem is the substitutions. I support what Frank was saying. I didn't like the substitutions because the team has a couple of let's say world class or let's say league winning names like Jesus, like a party when he was with Atletico Madrid and all that. When they have a bad moment, when they have a poor form, you don't take them off. You just psych them. You just awaken the beast in them. So I didn't know why they had to take. My problem, why were what do you call Jesus and Partey taking off? Maybe Jorginho could have been brought in to pair with Partey to command the midfield, to push more on Saka, because the front lines were perfect. They are good. The front line, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli, they are really sharp players. They needed that holding midfield, to be strong, to keep pushing the balls to them. So if Partey has a bit of a bad game, no, don't take him off. Bring Jorginho as a reinforcement. So Jorginho and Partey in the midfield, because most of the time you see it was Zinchenko who normally comes in to help Partey in the midfield. But today wasn't so. He didn't get so much support. So I was thinking Jorginho could have been brought on to psych Partey up, to bring the beast in them, like Jesus could stay on, so that when Jorginho they push the balls to them more. So I didn't know if it was like a panic substitution, because champions, when there's a setback, you don't just give up and take them out. Get them to rectify their mistakes. Let them, because they are champions. These Jesus, Partey, they are really top players. They can get them to solve the mistakes, rectify the mistakes. So that was my biggest problem. I don't know why they had to take Jesus, Partey off. Jorginho was good. He came on, but he should have come on to meet Partey in the midfield.
Interesting. Just a quick one, because we've got to move on. Do you still think we've got it in us to win the title?
Perfectly, we can. We can win that. We can win it.
It's
but
nice
the thing is, we shouldn't make panic changes. When players make mistakes, let them be on. Let them stay on to make amends. Don't just change them. That's my problem. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Like to end on a note of positivity. I like your positivity. So yeah. Thanks, bro. You must call back again soon.
Thank you.
Take
All
care.
the best, man.
Appreciate that. Sure.
Take care. Dr. Rishi. Dr. Rishi's next.
Hi.
How's it going, Dr. Rishi?
I am so devastated today. I'm
You're not the only one, man. There's a few.
Body today. Right,
Okay,
you were talking about last week. I was positive after the Liverpool result. I actually thought it was a good result.
I remember.
I'm feeling so negative. I'm feeling so negative today. I know you don't like the word, but we completely bottled it today. Bottled it, and I think it will be done. I think they'll win it by 5 points. I think they'll be done with 2 weekends to go. Because
when you say they, do you mean City or
unfortunately,
us?
the blue enemy.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think we'll lose at the Etihad and St James's Park now. I think it's done. I really hate saying that, but I just think mentally this has just destroyed us.
It's fair enough. The question that I have for you, going off of what the last caller said just at the end of it, Bukayo Saka today wasn't having a great game. Do you agree with the fact that Mikel Arteta didn't take him off so he could, try and make amends for missing?
No, he shouldn't have taken. He shouldn't have taken Jesus off. Definitely shouldn't have taken.
What I mean is Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Saka should have come off for Trossard, not Jesus. But yeah, it feels. I don't know. I'm feeling very negative. I agree mathematically, as you said. Look, they can win it, but unless City go to Bayern and maybe Grealish and Haaland and Stones and De Bruyne end up with some ACLs, and you shouldn't wish injury on a player, but.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but the concern is,
they're
already 3-0 up in that fixture.
It was awful, I was watching the first leg, and when De Bruyne slipped, I was actually feeling quite positive. I was hoping it's awful, isn't it? You think that it's awful. A doctor wishing injuries on a player. I shouldn't say that. Really bad.
Can you take any positives out of today's game? Is there any?
I think the weather's getting better actually now, isn't it? So summer's coming.
Let's look at it logically. You're a doctor, so you know how the logic goes. Right, so we are still 4 points clear. Yes, City have got a game in hand, but we're
1 point clear. Their game in hand is West Ham at home. We're 1 point clear.
Well, you say that, but we've just played West Ham, and
but at the Etihad.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're 1 point clear.
And we could go to City and upset them. That is possible. That is not beyond possibility.
I think, as you said, there needs to be. We've got to beat Southampton, and then it's just got to be a miracle result that night. Unfortunately, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I think
what I'm saying is that after 2 tough away games, we've got a home game this Friday. So if we beat Southampton, which let's face it, we should beat them. Then I would argue it's back on again. But I do accept your point.
One thing for me, and I don't know what the timeline is, but I think we really have missed Saliba in the last 2 games. I think that was a massive injury against Sporting. So because I think that leadership, we've been missing it, especially when the tide starts turning. We've kind of really missed that leadership, and that we look quite panicky in defence. And I don't know, is Saliba got a chance of being back for City? Because if he was back, I could possibly see us going to the Etihad and getting something, but.
It's possible, although the club have been quite reticent in advancing information on Saliba's current situation. And then you've also got to factor in that even if he comes back, will he be really fully fit? It could be a case of them rushing him back. But hey.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sounding very, very negative, and apologies for that, but.
No, I mean, it's natural for people to feel a little bit downcast. However, as my boy here says, mathematically, we're still in the ascendancy, and I happen to believe that both teams will drop points in the lead-in. There's 7 games left. Anything can happen. It's the Premier League.
I think it depends on, as you said, that result of the Etihad. I think momentum-wise, if they beat us that night, I don't think they'll drop a point, because it's just momentum-wise. But I think, as you said, if it's a draw or we by some miracle win, then absolutely they could drop points. But I think it all depends on that night. I can see them winning every game now. I really can.
I mean, certainly on current form you could see that, but stranger things have happened. So we'll see. But listen, bro, thank you very much for your call.
Sorry
I appreciate
for being
that.
negative.
No, you've been honest, which is I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So take care.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rishi.
Hopefully.
Gene,
we've got a lot of people calling in. Pretty much everyone sounds downcast. Let's see what Gene says. Gene, where are you calling from?
Hi, mate. I'm calling from Stamford, Connecticut. I'm the state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what was your thoughts on today's game? Are you positive, negative? Are you? Do you think it's still on, or do you think like some people that, we've virtually handed the title to City? What's your thoughts on it?
Not going to handle the title to City, but I'm afraid I'm seeing something called Deja vu.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Last
true.
year, we was going to Champions League and we dropped it to Tottenham.
All right.
So I'm just afraid that history is not going to repeat itself. Because we got Southampton on Friday. It's going to be a home game, but Southampton just beat Tottenham 3-2. And then I don't understand. We're dropping 4 points. In
that was Bournemouth. Bournemouth beat Spurs.
Bournemouth. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So we need to take matters into our own hands because we still can control our destiny.
That's right. I agree. I mean, listen, the Southampton game on Friday, to me, is coming around at just the right time, given that we've had 2 tough away games. Especially today, we dropped points. The Liverpool game, I wasn't so upset about because it's Liverpool. This game today, though, hurt a little more. But I think Southampton coming up on Friday gives us an opportunity, and it's no disrespect to Southampton, but they are bottom of the table for a reason. We're playing them at home. We should beat them, and if we beat them, then everything's back on, I would argue. What do you think?
Yeah. I believe we can have a good one at home, but we need to get the momentum back up so we can get back on this. I don't want to sound negative, but how can we go from title race? I don't want to settle for top 4 this season. We want to win the title. That's my belief, and that's what I would like to go for.
Okay.
Yep, I agree. But I would sound a note of caution. Everyone's talking about the City game, and I understand it. I get it. But we've got some important business to take care of on Friday. We've got Southampton coming to the Emirates. Now, Southampton are bottom of the table, as I just said. However, they are fighting for their lives. Mathematically, there is still a chance that they could stay up if they beat teams like us. So they will be coming there hoping to get something. So we got to be on it. We've got to win the game. And if we do win the game, I think the title race is definitely back on. Frank?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wouldn't. Yeah, so I to be fair, I don't think the title race is off as it stands. You know, we're still in a very good position, 4 points clear.
Agreed.
That's until City play their game in hand, of course. But I wouldn't say that the title race is off. Think it puts us in a better position in the title race. But I don't think we're completely out of it yet. It's still on. You know, as I said, mathematically, we're still in it. You can't argue with math.
Are you confident of the game on Friday?
I am 85%. We're gonna win Friday.
And do you think, like I think, that if we beat Southampton, then things are very much back on again in our favour? Or do you think that City now are favourites?
It's gonna be hard because City is playing the best football of their lives now. Even though they're in the Champions League, I think they're on FA Cup as well.
Yep, next week they got the FA Cup coming up. Yep.
So we have an opportunity to play them. Maybe even a draw at the Etihad, but they're playing good football, and we just hope they drop points. And we just have to do our things ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we can't let City control our destiny. We need to control our own.
That's right. Yeah, and the way we control our own is to win our games. And one of those games is against City. So yeah, you're right. But listen, man.
2 point dropped.
Yeah, 2 points drop, but you know, as I said, if we beat Southampton, then it's very much back on again. But listen, thank you very much for your call. Hopefully you'll call back soon.
Wilson, how's it going, Wilson?
Hi guys, I'm absolutely fuming. I am fuming.
Yeah, I can see that.
For me, right, we had an opportunity to go 6 points clear of Man City. This is the game we needed to win. And guess what? It's not just the Liverpool game. We threw away a 2-goal lead. It's West Ham as well. In terms of the Liverpool game, I can totally accept that because it's a tough place to go to. But in terms of West Ham, I'm sorry. I mean, in the first half an hour, we were in total control. However, what on earth was Gabriel doing? What was he doing in the penalty box? It was a clumsy challenge. It was a clear pen. And West Ham grew more confidence after that.
The only thing that I would say about that penalty...
It's just very, very frustrating.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say about that penalty is, yes, there is a little bit of contact, and he probably shouldn't have gone down as hard as he did. But there is a handball in the lead up to that penalty. So...
Yeah, I mean, I saw that.
Got that far.
I mean, I mean, I did see that they could have given the foul against West Ham. There was a handball in there, but again, why did VAR not check that? Why did not check that? That's another part. And then, like, we just lost control after that. And I have to question Arteta's substitutions here. Like, he's putting Eddie Nketiah on with 5-6 minutes to go when we needed a goal. I don't understand these substitutions. I'm fuming. It's like, come on now. This is West Ham. We threw away a 2-goal lead again. It's embarrassing, man. And guess what, guys? Yeah, City and Pep Guardiola would have seen that, and they're laughing. We need to fix up.
Yeah, you are right. It was disappointing to drop points, the City. But we do have a game this Friday, big game against Southampton. I would argue that it's come at the right time. Again, I'm not trying to disrespect Southampton, but you know, it's basically top versus bottom, and you're at home. So I'm expecting Arsenal to win on Friday, and if they do, would you agree with me that everything's still back on?
If Arsenal beat surely we're at home to Southampton. Honestly, we have to beat Southampton because this is a game where we need to get ourselves back on track, not just in terms of a title race, but mentally and psychologically, because everyone knows when it comes to title races, it's never straightforward. There's always a twist here and there. Now this is the time for the players and the manager to get it right. We cannot afford to make any more mistakes because we all know how good City are. We need to put things right against Southampton, or otherwise, I'm telling you now, guys, I will get even more annoyed. Simple as that.
Let me ask you, Saka, it's fair to say, and listen, I'm a big fan of the guy. We all are, I'm pretty sure. He's not had his best last couple of games. Is there a case for maybe leaving him out of the starting 11 for Friday's game against Southampton?
I mean, I have to say, I feel sorry for Saka. Remember, was it last year or the year before? He missed like the Euros penalty shootout and that.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for him because after his penalty miss today, his confidence was completely shot. It was low. And I thought to myself, Arteta, I'm begging you, get Saka off. Saka off. I'm not trying not to be horrible on Saka, but I thought get Saka off because his confidence is low, and get Trossard on.
So would you taking that to its logical conclusion, would you leave Saka out the starting lineup on Friday? I know it's a big question, but
it's
and I'll tell you why I asked that question as well, because if you remember a few weeks back, I forget the exact game, but Martinelli was having a few questions asked of his performances, and I think he got sat down for one game. I think it was only one game.
Yeah.
And then he came back. He came back in and he picked up his form and he's firing. Didn't have his best game today, funny enough. But you know what I mean. So should the manager adopt a similar strategy with Saka? Maybe leave him out for the Southampton, or certainly leave him out of the starting lineup.
If I'm honest with you, Laurie, I think in terms of Saka, Arteta needs to treat Saka equally as other players in terms of their form. For me, I would take Saka out of the firing line just for one game against Southampton, and maybe, just maybe, he should start not in the Southampton game because he needs a rest. He needs to compose himself because we need him for that City game because we know he's a big player. He usually delivers in the big games, but today it was just not Saka's day at all. He needs to be out of the firing line. And remember, as you said, Laurie, he dropped Martinelli because of poor form. He was dropped for one game. He went on to the starting lineup in the next game, and he grew confidence from that. That is what I think. This is what Saka needs.
Yep. I think that could be something that the manager might look into for sure.
And in terms of the title race, even though we're 4 points clear. And I saw some Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, the title's done. Congratulations to City." No. Like, come on, there's so many games to play. Everyone knows it's not just Arsenal that may drop points. City may drop points too. You never know. You never know. And I'm not gonna because let's say if City were 6 points clear or something and they drop points, what would people say about Arsenal in that position? That's another question. But in terms of a title race, it's not done yet. It's
Definitely
not done.
It. Yeah, I 100% agree. Listen, thank you very much for your call. Appreciate that. Very honest, very brutal, but that's how we like it. Take care. You must call back soon. Thank you very much.
Definitely take care, guys.
See you soon.
Right. I like the fact that everyone's still confident. We've got Tony next. Hi, Tony. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, Tony. What's going on, bro?
Disappointing.
It is disappointing. It is disappointing. So listen, let me ask you. You can't help but feel a sense of deja vu. It happened last week. 2-0 up against Liverpool. Looked like, to all intents and purposes, we're going to win and win easily. Liverpool get a goal back in the second half. They're the better team. We get out of there 2-2. This week, similar type of scenario against West Ham. 2-0 up, coasting. You're thinking, yeah, man, it's going to be our day. West Ham get a goal back. Second half, they're the better side. They come out of there 2-2. Why do you think consecutive weeks, back to back, this has happened?
It must be a mental thing because the Liverpool game is a different game. Anything can happen in that game. You know, we know how Liverpool are when they're at home. You know, especially the Anfield crowd. So you could be 2-0 up, 2-1 up. They could come back against any team.
Yeah.
But against these teams like West Ham, you know, what do you call it? Southampton. These teams, we need to. We had a 2-0 lead, and is that we had our foot on their throat. And we didn't squeeze our foot down more on their throat to literally hold out and even score a couple more goals, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I haven't played football at any high level. And even Sunday League, you know, you have to be up for a fight every game, you know? And we're at the top level. This is a top team. Arsenal's a top team. City's a top team. All these teams are top teams. And it seems like we were strolling along. We just took it for granted. We just... bit too casual. It just all seemed a bit too, you know, and it seems like even Saka is undroppable. He's unsubbable, you know. Why didn't we sub him today? It's just...
I think the majority of the fans are saying that, actually. They're saying that Saka should have been subbed. What did you think of Jesus coming off? Because I was a little bit surprised when he got taken off, to be honest. I thought he was playing well.
That change was... I was shaking my head. I was like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Saka should have came off at that point.
Yeah, I think most people when we heard it, when we saw the guys appear on the touchline ready to come on, I was convinced that Saka was going to be subbed. When Jesus' number came up, I was like, rah. I was a little bit surprised, and you could see that Jesus was a little bit perturbed at being brought off. He obviously thought that he should stay on, and I know that Frank here, he was disappointed with that, weren't you, Frank?
Disappointed is an understatement, Laurie. You know, Gabriel Jesus was looking like our main goal threat at the time, so to bring him off, I understand what people were saying about, you know, you don't want to risk him, but that's what you potentially drop him for Southampton against, not when you need a goal after losing a 2-0 lead and you're still fighting for the 3 points, because it's almost essential you get the 3 points in this game. Didn't make any sense to me.
Tony, can you take any positives out of today? Are there any positives you can think of?
The only positive is 1 point gained. We're still ahead in the title race. However, we know how this goes. You know, again, deja vu. You know, hopefully we win against Southampton. I'm 95% sure we win against Southampton. And then with City now, if we don't come out there with a draw, anything less, the league is gone.
I think that's kind of fair, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just the in-game management from Arteta today was poor. And even in the Liverpool game, it was poor too. Right, and it's like certain decisions he makes, it's just weird.
Yeah. You know what? You're one of a number of people who have highlighted that. So listen, I can't knock you for saying that, man, because a lot of people are saying it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But listen, we've got to move on. We've got a few more calls. We've had a lot of calls tonight. But we appreciate you calling. You must call back. Hopefully after we beat Southampton, you can call back and you'll be in a much
hopefully I'm smiling.
Yeah. But listen, bro, respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Nice one. So,
William, welcome to the show. How's it going?
What's going on, boys?
That's all I can say.
Damn. I'm good.
Deja vu? Is it deja vu?
You know what? To be honest, yeah. I'm kind of feeling like last season towards the tail end.
Do you think the pressure's starting to tell, or what? Or is it just coincidence?
Most certainly, because you have to bear in mind that we are among like the youngest squad, I think, in the Premiership.
I think we have the youngest squad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you specifically about the manager. We've had a few people come on, and I know Frankie has expressed his concerns at the substitutions and the in-game management of Mikel Arteta today. Are you one of those, or do you think it's something else?
I'm sorry, Laurie?
The manager's been called into question for his substitutions and his in-game management of the game today. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Arteta, I'm questioning him as well. I think his substitutions were absolutely mad today. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think taking out Gabriel Jesus made absolutely no sense. I thought he looked very. He was like on fire today. He was really like he could be an absolute goal threat. I mean, if you were going to change Jesus, I thought that you're going to put him on right wing, take out Saka, and then put in Trossard. I think that would have made sense. You know what I mean? You can keep Martinelli on the left. That would have made more sense for me. But and then he took off Carantini towards the end, which I don't understand why. And I think he did a 3 in the back, and then trying to do a 5 in the midfield.
Yeah,
which
Vieira.
when he brought on Vieira, and it just doesn't really make any sense to me. I mean, we were trying to put some balls into the box. Nothing was connecting. I'm just gutted. I mean, I can accept it against Liverpool. You know what I mean? But against West Ham, come on now.
I've got to ask you as well. A question I've asked some of the other callers. I'll be interested to hear what you think. Saka. Let's be honest. As good as he's been this season, and he's been outstanding. I just want to say that. However, it's clear that his form has tailed off over the past couple of weeks. Now, we've got a game on Friday against Southampton. Absolute must win. Do you start Saka in that game on Friday if you're
Absolutely
the manager?
not. Absolutely not. He has to bench. He has to be benched.
Okay.
I think Saka needs a break. And I think for me, like I said, I would start with the front three of Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus, and Trossard.
Right.
That would be my front three. Because Saka, I think you can tell. I mean, I love our star boy more than anybody, but you can tell that the guy just needs a break. You know what I mean? The guy looked like he wasn't on it today.
Yeah, it happens. It happens to the best of us. It happens.
Of course.
Yeah. But listen, bro. I've been told by our producers that we got to move on because we've got a few more calls. But listen, thank you very much for your call. You've been open, honest as always. Appreciate that. You must call back soon. No worries, bro. It's a pleasure. Take care.
Final caller, Kaneem. Let me know if I've got that pronounced that right. Firstly.
Yeah, you got it.
Kaneem, how's it going? How are you feeling after that result?
I'm cheesed. I'm really angry, but I feel like people are forgetting, like you guys stated earlier, like our team is really young, and the mixture of experience and the young talent we have, I feel like we do have the young talent, but the experience, even the experienced players we have are pretty young. If you look at it, like Zinchenko, Jesus, these guys are still kind of young. So I feel like we're just lacking that. People are forgetting the team is young, and I have to disagree with people saying Saka's been terrible these days. I feel like he's been doing good. It's just, game after game, you're eventually, you're gonna burn out.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying now. I wouldn't agree that Saka's been terrible. However, we have seen a small dip in form over the past few weeks. I think that's fair to say.
You can say that, yeah, but I feel like he's getting a little too much heat for it. He's been phenomenal. Even against Liverpool, he's been doing alright. He just hasn't been scoring.
Yeah, no, of course, I understand that. And based off that point, I know you said you're still quite happy with his performances. Obviously, have not been to the standard that we've come to expect. Absolutely, he's not been scoring. He's not been getting any assists. But do you think, like Glory said earlier, I think he asked a question to a few callers before. We've got the Southampton game coming up next. After that, we've got the big one against Man City. Do you potentially rest Bukayo Saka for the Southampton game, take him out of the firing line a bit, and have him fresh and ready for City?
It's a tricky one.
It really is.
I would say maybe bench him for that game. Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. Yeah. But I just don't want it to hurt his confidence. That's pretty much it. But I feel like he can still start that game even if he was to start.
No, absolutely. I think that's one of the. If I have to think about it logically, I think that's possibly one of the main reasons I think Mikel doesn't take him off today. You know, he missed the penalty. You know, if it was a case where he got dragged off, if he dragged him off after the penalty, that would have been a confident shot. So I suppose I can understand it from that sense, but you have to do what benefits the team, not the individual. So that's why.
And it could well be that if he is rested for the Southampton game, I mean, let's be honest, he probably will come on at some stage anyway.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But to say he don't start, we had a situation with Martinelli a few weeks prior where he'd hit a little blip. Is probably the best word to use. He got rested. Trossard came in, but then he came back later. I think he came on as a sub in one of those games and scored, and then his form just picked up. It could be the same with Saka. So yeah, it could well be that
Saka,
they decide to.
It sort of just came towards the end of the stages for Saka, like where we need him the most. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely feel like it is like you said today. We should have won easily, but I do feel like we will win at Newcastle. And we may get a draw at City, but I can see us winning at City as well. As bad as today was, I can still see us beating City and beating Newcastle.
But before all of that, we got Southampton at home on Friday. Now that's a massive game. What's your thoughts for that game?
Yeah, we're gonna batter them. That's gonna be easy. I don't think that's gonna be much of a challenge. To be fair, they're pretty poor. I mean, if we do draw that, then yeah, I would say league's done right there. If we do not win next game, I would say the league is finished.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. You have to beat Southampton.
No, Southampton are just giving away 3 points this year. So if we can't,
anything other than a win, then just write it off.
I wouldn't even say write off, but it's certainly a concern if we can't. And trust me, remember we've not beat Southampton this season. We drew against them earlier this season as well. So we've got we've got a point to prove there. They've been giving away 3 points for the sake of it. You know, it's definitely a team that we need to be winning convincingly at, in my personal opinion, especially at the Emirates. It should.
I think it's fair to say that if we don't beat Southampton on Friday, you could argue whether we deserve to win the title.
Maths,
because you're talking about top versus bottom.
Yeah,
and there's 7 games to go. You simply have to beat Southampton. It's a must-win game. But that in itself puts a lot of pressure on the team. You see, when you have to beat somebody, it's different from just turning.
That's what I was saying earlier. I was saying earlier about the young players we have. Like they've never been in this. Well, they have somewhat last year, but they've never been in a position like this where the title's on the line. You know, any mistake you do is vital. City have been here like how many times, and they have the experience behind it as well. So that's what I'm saying. Like we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, you know, we push through it.
It's almost like a race, isn't it? In the athletics, when you're leading, and then you can feel somebody bearing down on you. You can almost feel their breath on your back. And that's what it feels like City at the moment, you know. So we got to hold them off, and the way to do that is by beating Southampton. But listen, bro, thank you very much for your call. You must call back again soon. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks. Cheers.
Oh, very mixed emotions.
Yeah. I did kind of feel the energy from some people there. They're very disappointed, which is natural. Of
natural,
course.
Absolutely. It's a poor result at the end of the day. You know, we were in a very good position at the start of the game, and it's not worked out.
It's poor, but it's not a loss.
I know.
I do think in situations like this, Frank, that you do have to take positives from this, because if it's all doom and gloom. You carry that into the next game.
Yeah, no,
it's almost like you have to try and look for some positives.
That is the only positive I can see from this. You know, we haven't lost the game.
Yeah, and we're still top.
Oh, absolutely. We are still top. Don't get me wrong. It's not the gap that I would have liked it to have been. And to make things worse, today could have been St Tottenham's day.
Exactly.
We've to be fair, in all fairness, we've equalled the amount of points that they can mathematically get if they win the rest of their games. So it's almost bound to happen. So happy pre-St Tottenham's day to all the Arsenal fans out there. But it would have been nice, and I'm sure I might get this wrong here, but I'm sure if we won today and then beat Southampton, it would have been Champions League secured as well.
Oh, okay.
So I think it delays that a little bit as well.
Yeah,
So it's not great.
It's not been a great day, but listen, I would sum up by saying we're still top of the league by 4 points. Yes, City have a game in hand, but they've also got to win that game in hand, and stranger things have happened. This is the Premier League. We all see that, results don't always play out the way they should be, or people expect them to.
I think the longer that City remain in the other competitions, the more likely they are to drop points in the league, because once they're in, I think they're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League now against Bayern Munich. They're almost guaranteed to get through to the next round. Semi-finals, crunch time. I think they're going to put not all their eggs into this basket, but they're definitely going to be thinking more about the Champions League than they are the Premier League, because they've spent a lot of money. Pep's been given a lot of praise, and he's still not won that Champions League trophy. So I think as long as they stay in those other competitions, we have the advantage in terms of the fact that we've got 100% of our attention on this Premier League. Yeah. They might have 50% on the Champions League, another 10% on the FA Cup, and then maybe 40% on the Premier League.
No, you're right. And listen, man, we said before this game, or certainly I'd said that I expect both teams to drop points, and that still remains the case as far as I'm concerned. We dropped points today. You never know. By the next time City play in the Premier League, which is the week after next, they may well drop points.
As unlikely as it could be, as it is, it could happen.
Well, their next Premier League game is against us.
Well, they've got West Ham before us, haven't they?
Oh, really? Oh, okay, you could be right. But we're playing them soon. Anyway.
Yeah, we're playing them soon. I get.
But West Ham might take points off them. I mean, West Ham today.
Points off of us. So.
Exactly. Listen, West Ham today, they played well.
They did,
because they were 2-0 down and they were looking down the barrel a little bit.
Yeah.
And to be fair to them, they did fight their way back into the game.
They did, and my boss is a West Ham fan, so I'm going to have a great time tomorrow morning.
I know a few West Ham fans, and I'm pretty sure they'll be getting on to me as well. But listen, man, Frank, got to wind things up. Thank you very much for
happy to be here.
You coming in today. You did a sterling job on your own on the info station.
That's
did
right.
Very well, as you always do. Holding down the fort by yourself there. Shout out to James. He wasn't able to be with us today. He has a family member that's not very well, so obviously you've got to take care of that situation. Family comes first, even above football. So we're hoping his family member makes a quick improvement. Shout out to everybody who tuned in today, who supported us on the watch along and on the starting 11 and on the info station and on the full-time show. We appreciate that. Keep tuning in, like, share, subscribe. We're back on Friday, Arsenal against Southampton. It's a must-win game. We need the fans. We need your support. Tune in, watch us smash Southampton and get our title track back on where it should be.
Come on, you guys.
Nice one. We're out.
Cheers.